Welcome back again to Worlds Beyond with Cam and Ron, and Jen is back this week.
Hey everybody.
Welcome back, Jen.
Thank you.
And we are here to talk weapons. Zach Cregger's new, very, very buzzworthy film with a much bigger budget than his first one, Barbarians, which Jen hasn't seen, I haven't seen either. I know you saw it, Cam, and really liked it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Just a little over a week ago, we saw it last week separately, and done very well in the box office so far. I think it was released at a really good time. So that's what we're here to discuss, and we thank you for being with us. And with that, Cam, I'll let you start off and give us your assessment or initial assessment.
Yeah, I was really excited for this one because, I loved Barbarian, and that was such a interesting and creative and fun horror movie that I was curious to see how this one would turn out. And I think he really carried the ball forward and made another great knockout horror movie. I don't know if I like it quite as much as Barbarian, only because I feel like Barbarian has much more rewatchability in terms of just how the plot unfolds. I could see this was a little bit long, I'd say, is one of my big kind of nitpicks, but I'd say probably wouldn't be as effective on a second watch, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference because it is just a great movie overall. I loved how it kind of took a fairly basic kind of horror concept and just it elevated it, but it didn't like try to do anything more than just be a fun horror movie with a cool structure to it, and all the scares were great, and the cast was excellent, and I just thought the ending was just such a great, incredible payoff. With a lot of these movies, big mystery, and a lot of the time it's like kind of ends up being a dud, but I thought it really paid off, and I felt that way about Barbarian too. I think he has a really good way of like kind of setting something up and paying it off in a way that's both satisfying and surprising.
I definitely agree with the surprising part, and it was nearly 2 hours, right?
It was over 2 hours.
It was over 2 hours. But with that being said, like when we watched it, I was entertained till the end. I was looking forward to seeing what would happen next. I think personally the movie was very overhyped. I didn't think it was as good as you guys, I think, did. I still, like I said, I did enjoy it, and I agree with you, Cam, too, about rewatching. Now that you kind of have the reveal of how everything went down and what happened, I don't think it's anything I would, feel a need to rewatch at a later date. But it was entertaining. It was. I agree with being well done and amazing performances. The actors and actresses were fantastic. Especially the kids that were in it and everything. That's a huge credit. There was a lot of physical acting for them, and thought they did a great job, especially at the end.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had mixed feelings about it sitting through it. Although I was totally entertained, I was totally like flabbergasted at some points by just how crazy over the top it got. That at times took me out of it a little bit as I went through it, but then what I realized in reading more about the film and just hearing more about him is like there were some outright laughs in the theater when we were sitting here, especially towards the end when some of the really crazy stuff happens. And then towards the end I noticed there were jokes that had to be intentional, and it was funny. And I think learning more about the film after I watched it, there was a lot more intentional humor that probably came, and I didn't know that he does put a lot of intentional humor into his movies. So I think I can look back and see some of the stuff I might have been like, what the hell? I agree with you, Cam. They definitely give the overall mystery and resolution of this situation with these kids that go missing a very satisfying and outrageous conclusion. Yes, I thought it was too long for me. I have my horror movie sweet spot of somewhere between 90 minutes and an hour and 45 minutes, I think, is ideal for horror. This came in, I think, at something like 2:08, which I know includes credits, so something like 2 hours-ish. So I think definitely 15 minutes could have easily been taken off from that. The movie opens as a very sort of straightforward, almost like crime thriller mystery, with just these kids disappearing from school and the teacher being kind of a suspect, and why were all the kids from this class taken and one kid wasn't. And and it starts down a linear path, but then it eventually breaks off into this character-based structure, and it's even each character section is labeled. You know, it starts out with Julia Garner's point of view, Justine she plays, and she's pretty much the main character. And then it gets into Brolin's character, who's the father of one of the missing kids, and then the principal, and then this cop, and then this junkie. And so I think and as it went into those different points of view, you got different views into the story of you know, you got some background that you didn't get when you were maybe originally saw it. It jumps around in the timeline, and so you'll see something through someone's point of view, and then you'll jump to the other person's point of view, and then they back it up, and then you'll see things that you didn't see on screen that explain why things happen. And all that was pretty kind of cool and clever at points. I just think it was, for me, it was like you could have just like quickly filled in the blanks for me and then moved on, particularly for some of the supporting characters. Like, I just personally felt they spent too much time with the cop and with the junkie.
I can agree with that too,
and
yeah.
That kind of made the movie for me drag a little bit toward.
The story got wilder and like more and more wild as the different characters had their point of view and their little story being told. Like you said, it started off as like a kind of a crime drama, which I really enjoyed and was into that part of it. And then as they start introducing some wild themes and some, you know, supernatural elements here and there, it just got kind of like a little wacky. But definitely some laugh out loud moments. But I wouldn't outright call it a horror comedy.
No,
there
some
wasn't
people
enough...
are saying calling it that. I wouldn't call it that.
What do you think, Cam?
I don't know if I would call it a full-on horror comedy. Yeah, that would be my thing. Both Barbarian and Weapons, I would say, have strong elements of comedy. I don't know if I would call them either horror comedies, but he got his start as part of a comedy group called The Whitest Kids You Know. It was huge when I was in high school. No, actually, even before that, honestly, like middle school, they were big on like early YouTube skits and that sort of thing. So yeah, I always enjoy. He has Barbarian was very funny in parts too. That's what I liked about it, is that it took itself very seriously, but it did have those funny moments. And obviously the end I thought was hilarious, and there were a couple moments, but this one felt a little bit more serious than Barbarian overall. Even though Barbarian, I'd say, dealt with darker subjects, I really liked that there ended up being a supernatural explanation for everything. Just because so many of these mystery horror movies set up this cool mystery and then it ends up being something kind of disappointing. But I like that it wasn't anything mundane or something like that.
Yeah, I think they set you up through this movie that it's going to turn out to be just some kind of crazy serial killer or something like that. And namely, there's this witch, Gladys, who's wandering through town and is motivated by the fact that she appears to like be a witch who has cancer or maybe is 5,000 years old for all we know. Who knows? Those things are left kind of open for interpretation, but whatever reason, she's dying and starts manipulating and taking control of all these people to try to either cure herself or restore her life force or whatever the case may be. And it is interesting how the first hints of it are in the dreams of Justine, Julia Garner's character, and Archer, Josh Brolin's character, when they dream of this clown-looking Gladys who turns out to be a witch. And it's funny, they very much go with us, very Stephen King-ish. And I've even seen a meme of like her picture next to Pennywise and her picture next to Nicolas Cage's character and Longlegs, and
I've seen that one, yeah.
And a few of the other outrageous. So it definitely had that vibe. And so yeah, I too appreciated the fact that it was a horror movie and it turned out to be a real horror supernatural kind of explanation, which made it that much more crazy, because you're like at some point you're so pulled into this just small town mystery. It seems just like one of those, ID channel mystery murder stories and everything
right
else.
Yeah.
So then when it does turn out to be a witch, you're like, oh shit, I thought that was very effective, the way they did that.
And at the beginning too, they introduce it as, this is a true story that happened in my hometown.
Yeah.
So it kind of draws you into like that realistic nature, and then, like you said, just kind of switches it up, which I thought was good. And Gladys, I hear rumors that they're going to do a origin story, a backstory maybe on her. I don't know how good that would be. I don't know if I care enough about the character to want to see,
Right.
but I thought that was interesting because they don't give you a lot of context. She just shows up, and it's just kind of...
Kudos to Amy Madigan, who was completely unrecognizable as the mom from, like, oh God, what's that baseball movie with Kevin Costner that I hate?
Oh, Field of Dreams.
Field of
How do you
Dreams.
hate Field of Dreams?
It's super cheesy, but she's tremendous, and like I said, completely unrecognizable in a good way. To her credit, her performance as this witch Gladys. And the director supposedly gave her the option of playing her character either as a regular person who turns to witchcraft because she has this cancer or sickness or illness, or play her as this, like, maybe centuries old supernatural character. And he told me, don't tell me which way you're going to go, just pick one and do it. So who knows what she picked, but I thought that was another interesting twist. There's a lot of themes in this movie. It seemed to be, and I'm just going to throw this out there and get your guys' reaction. Definitely, there was a small town school shooting, motif here. Small town classroom, kids going missing, and then this seemingly, obviously unhinged character being responsible for those disappearances as opposed to shootings. There's even a point where there's a Josh Brolin dream sequence that shows
Like an
a rifle
AR-15
emoji,
or something.
which I thought at the time, I'm like, this
Seemed very out of place, yeah.
very out of place, but I don't know.
I thought the scene too when she goes in the classroom and it's empty and there's the one kid is sitting there, I found that to be quite jarring and was reminiscent of what a teacher may feel, or people might feel going back, and how they closed the school down, they said in the narrative, just to kind of try to recover, but there was no recovering from it. And I can imagine that would be the things that would happen in a small town if something tragic and mass shooting or something happened. Like I can see that.
And all the when they met with the parents, all the over the top, like, discussions of everyone's feelings and safe space to discuss this, and like having the counselors on hand and all of that kind of,
and blaming someone just to have
Right.
someone to blame kind of thing.
No, that's a great point. Yeah.
I have to admit, one of the creepiest things is still with the scenes of the kids running, like on the Ring doorbell cameras and stuff like that, with their arms all out behind them and everything.
Yeah, we were joking when we left. We were afraid we were going to like drive home and see people doing that, running
Yeah.
with that weird stance, and like.
Actually, people are commenting too on like social media. They're like, "Oh, this is the only way to take the trash out now," and they're like showing people like running by the house with their arms back, and I'm like, "Oh God."
I would say in this movie's favor, and maybe unlike a lot of more sort of, for lack of a better way to describe it, artistic horror films, as opposed to just like straight up mainstream slashers and like Scream franchise type stuff. This had a very satisfying ending, both for the kid, who was that last kid and clearly turned out, he was the last kid for a reason. He was victimized most by Gladys the Witch, and the way the kids all ultimately using Gladys's own manipulation,
Her magic against her.
her magic against her, and
Yeah, I
And
thought
just-
that was
just-
great. That was just a great.
and
cap.
just the moment when she realized, and she had that like oh shit moment,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then just the way she was running through everybody's yard and everybody's house.
And all the people that witnessed that
And we're
like
just
ending,
like,
and we're just like, "What?" They're trying to have breakfast, and
Yeah, and they didn't quite realize what was going on until like it was definitely like an outrageous yet in the same time satisfying ending.
And I'm always going to be suspicious if I see any children buying cans of soup in large
Yeah.
quantities at the grocery store every day. I'll
Yeah.
definitely take notice.
Yeah, so that actually is a good point to get into at least a couple of the other nitpicks that I have. One was great. Supposedly it was a small, very obscure town in Pennsylvania, and I get small town cops and whatever else like that, but there would have been FBI and all kinds of law enforcement deployed to get to the bottom of this situation.
Yeah, 17 kids wouldn't go missing out of a classroom anywhere in America without...
And the fact that they found no physical evidence of these kids running through like a sock here, you know what I mean, or something like that. And the fact that the one kid who didn't disappear, his house windows are all boarded up with newspaper, and all of a sudden the dad had a stroke and can't talk, and the mother disappeared. I mean, like, there was too much that could not have escaped the notice of law enforcement to make this work. And I'm like, I'm all for...
Again, yeah, to make it believable.
Right.
Because clearly it's not a believable story, but...
Yeah, I'm all for suspension of disbelief, but like, I was definitely asking myself these questions as we're watching the movie. I might have even said that to you while we were watching the movie, like, okay, how did the cops not notice this, So those are a couple of my other thoughts. I don't know.
I was able to suspend my disbelief, although I have an
Yeah.
easier time with that generally. So that didn't like super stand out to me. I'm sure if you were to like pick apart the timeline, it probably wouldn't.
Right.
There would be plot holes and other things, but
and
overall, I think it was effective.
Yeah, and not to go there, but I mean, all these people standing and in a room for however, it was like weeks and weeks and weeks.
Oh, they were gone for months, wasn't it? They closed the school, I think. The timeline was like they closed the school for at least a month or two.
Yeah.
And then everyone had to get back to business, and they just integrated that student, boy that was left behind.
Did he take them all to the bathroom and clean them all up? And
right? Yeah, they have the scene where he's feeding them soup from a can, like with a spoon, but...
Right. Cam, I'll always turn to you and say, just what are some of the filmmaking or technical? I know that this isn't a big like special effects movie per se, other than the practical gore effects, which were pretty.
In the dream sequences, yeah.
Yeah, I think nothing really stood out to me as like particularly like wowed me from a filmmaking perspective, but it was solidly done, and the practical effects, especially at the end, I thought were fantastic, very visceral, satisfying.
And I think it's a great point that a lot of people have made about this film is, and how well it's done, how it can be, a spectacle without being, everything doesn't have to be like a $250 million superhero movie with gobs of CGI to tell a fun, crazy, kooky story.
Yeah, good point, actually. Because that's usually what tops the box office, and that has been up there, I guess, for quite a while. Mm-hmm. I don't really know what competition it's had, though. What else is out right now? Freakier Friday?
Freakier Friday, yeah.
The freakiest of Fridays.
Yeah, and I was just looking at there's not a whole lot super interesting playing right now.
Yeah, no, I can't believe Jurassic Park is still in the theater. But Superman, Fantastic Four, Freakier Friday...
I still want to see Jurassic Park. I love dinosaurs eating people. I don't care. I'll watch it every time. Every single remake that's terrible. I don't care who's in it.
I haven't seen any of the newer ones.
They're all awful, but dinosaurs eat people, and it makes it great.
There's this movie called Sketch that's like a creepy but kids fantasy.
Sketch?
I saw the poster for it. I couldn't quite tell what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I can't really tell what it's about. Yeah, it's definitely gotten no marketing. But anyway, so it sounds like that's a wrap on weapons. It definitely shot its weapons at us, and we were very unnerved. I will say definitely. I would say if you're into horror or anything, it all depends on if it's your type of horror and what just what you think of how the story unfolds. But I think if you like horror, you'll probably like this movie. So. It
was interesting. Like I said, I still feel like it was really overhyped. I don't think it was nearly as good as I know you guys really liked it more than I did, but I still think it's worth giving it a watch, I guess. Yeah. And like I said, I was entertained for the full 2 hours. I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen next.
Absolutely.
We even stayed through the end credits.
I know.
There wasn't
like,
any
is there gonna be
end
like
credit scene.
And post-credit scene with Gladys coming back to life or something. But you're right, Cam, too, just to finish off, too, the rewatch factor. I think I haven't seen Barbarian. Sounds like maybe Jen and I should go back and watch that at some point. But
we can add it to our list.
Yep, add it to the Halloween list. I think the slow burn nature of of the unfolding mystery. Once you know what's going to happen, it's like a lot of that probably would become even more tedious. Not that it was tedious, there were parts of it that were. But I can just see you just kind of like going back to watch this and just tapping your foot until you get to the third act.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so that's a wrap on Weapons. What else is coming up? I know we watched the first half of Wednesday. I know you haven't gotten to that yet. Definitely want to cover that. Eagerly awaiting the next installment of episodes.
We have a list this year. We're actually really ahead of ourselves. We like to try to get some spooky films and TV shows together. I think we are looking forward to seeing Welcome to Derry. That looks like it might be good. Because what was the one that we watched with last year that we really liked that was Stephen King? Salem's Lot.
Oh, yeah.
We watched the newer Salem's Lot.
I thought that was
it was pretty good.
I enjoyed that.
So I'm hoping it is kind of the same vibe to it that one did, because that was pretty good. What about you, Kim? What are you looking forward to? Anything?
I'm trying to think. Well, Alien Earth has been great so far. I guess there's a new episode today. I should watch that. That's what I've been looking forward to. I'm trying to think. What else?
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes as well. I thought I really enjoyed it so far.
I'm not into aliens. I also watched it, but I definitely don't get as involved in it as you guys do.
Steve liked that more than you.
Yes.
He made you watch it.
Yes, my husband enjoyed it. I did not. No, yeah, we have some fun sort of films. We watched Haunt.
Did not like that.
I loved it.
Thought it was well done. Thought the acting was good, but I'm not a big fan of just those like torture chamber like type settings or whatever. But
You saw that too, Cam.
Oh yeah,
right?
I try to watch that every year. I love it.
See,
yeah.
I feel the same way. I thought it was pretty good.
Well, it's that, and there was like no story to it.
Well, I feel like the teenagers in that, or the young adults, I should say, they were not teenagers. They acted like actual young adults. Like they were goofy and rude to each other and funny, and like I thought that the group had a good dynamic and everything. I mean, I don't think it needed much of a story or a plot. I thought it was just, they went to an extreme haunted house and it turned out
a lot of really bad decisions.
Yeah,
that
of course.
I don't think anyone would have made. In this.
We'll go one at a time, or we'll split up. You go in this direction. Yeah. Not a good idea.
Like from the moment they stepped up to the front door of that place, anybody in their right mind would have been like, nope. But anyway, I watched it. But I didn't. That's not my cup of tea.
But yeah, we watched that. We saw Until Dawn, which I don't think, Cam, you've seen that yet, right?
I watched it. I thought it was pretty good.
You watched it. Yeah, that was one we thought we might cover in an episode, but we find because we got around to seeing it so late. But I really enjoyed that one. I thought that was fairly well done. It seemed, it seemed a little derivative of something else.
Kind of Groundhog Day-ish.
Well, yeah, definitely that. Yeah, I mean, it definitely has that sort of Groundhog Day trope. But I enjoyed that one. And then we never got around to talking about Sinners, which you've all seen.
Yeah, that was
I enjoyed
great.
that. I think it was, in some ways, unsatisfying a little bit as a horror movie. I do think it's getting way more praise than it deserves. Obviously, it was Ryan Coogler's a great director. It was impeccably, produced, and cinematography and all that stuff. And the story was good. I thought the characters were good. Michael B. Jordan was tremendous.
Oh, he was fantastic. I didn't even know that was him playing both parts until we got home.
And Haley Steinfeld, everybody was great. The horror moments that were in the movie I thought were well done.
I didn't think it was horror enough for me.
I
thought it was just kind of very drawn out, the storyline.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt, Cam. I just felt like it was way too long.
Yeah, it was.
I think the horror part picked up in the last half an hour.
I liked that it took a lot of time to set up the world, and you don't get to see a lot of super big budget movies that have the ability to really flesh out the setting and the sets and everything else. So I always appreciate that.
Yeah, the period stuff, elements of it were very well done. I mean, that was. So overall, yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I think it is getting a little bit overhyped, and there was points at which I was like, okay, can we get to the good stuff?
Yeah, like that whole music scene, that was really long and unnecessary. I felt like I don't think you needed all of that to get the point across.
Some people loved that whole dancing scene where they just, past, future.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the movie.
And, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really?
I appreciated that. I'll say two things about it. I appreciated it as a cinematic device. I think after like about 30 seconds of movie runtime, I'm like, okay, I get it. Can we get back to the movie? Because it did take me out of the story. So
I can agree with that.
I
just think it was too long.
And thought it was A, too long, and B, it was like, okay, I feel like I'm not watching a movie about a movie now, not like I'm not in the story. So, I mean, for me, I think it was more it not being very horror-ish. Like, the horror parts were not scary. I thought that the characters' deaths should have been way better. They just got, like, eaten. That was it. Like, there was nothing special. As far as the music thing, I thought the creepy, culty dance that the people, once they got turned into vampires when they were doing the Irish jig, I thought that was more kind of cool and, like, creepy and weird. And that in a way that I appreciated more so than the cartoon or the very special effectsy time warp thing.
It was like what was that movie that it reminds me of when they have to like hunker down till dawn?
Oh,
before dawn until dawn, something I forget the name of it. But anyway, it reminded me kind of that where they have to like, kind of wait out sunrise for the vampires kind of thing. But
Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn. That's it.
Yeah, well,
I kind of felt like it was similar kind of like they borrowed some parts of that kind of, but I enjoyed that one way more than I enjoyed Sinners. But I agree with you. Like, I thought the backstory was great. The production value was amazing. The actors were incredible. I just wish that the vampires were actually scary and there was more of that horror element than just them setting up the story so much.
Yeah, so that is that. Yeah, Alien Earth, Wednesday, definitely two things we'll probably hit on. And since you're being forced to watch Alien Earth, you can comment on it as well, Jen.
I'll hide my harshest criticism. I'll mute that down for you guys.
But definitely much more to come. More things on the way. We thank you for listening and finding us and tuning in wherever you are finding us and tuning in. We're obviously on anywhere you can find a podcast. We're there. We also have our Facebook page where you can leave us a comment or a like. And please do like and comment wherever you have a chance.
Please follow us on Facebook. And actually, if anybody has any suggestions of some cool horror movies or spooky stuff that we can watch, we'd love to add it to our list.
Definitely.
All right, well, lots to come, it sounds like.
And we'll see you on the next one, guys.